Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Saira Mujtaba, and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav, bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. But as the world fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of caution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. The headlines. India inches closer to another milestone of 300 million COVID-19 inoculations in record time. World Health Organization welcomes Quad leaders' commitment to boost global supplies of COVID-19 vaccines. Google to face class action lawsuit in the US on allegations of tracking users of Chrome browser. India hands over training aids worth 22 million Sri Lankan rupees to assist Sri Lankan Navy in capacity building. Former undisputed boxing world champion Marvelous Marvin Hagler dies at the age of 66. And in women's cricket, South Africa beat India by 7 wickets in 4th ODI at Lucknow and clinches series 3-1. And now the news in detail. India is inching closer to another significant milestone of administering 300 million COVID-19 vaccine doses in record time. With over 1.5 million doses administered yesterday, the cumulative vaccination figure has breached the 297 million mark. India commenced the largest vaccination drive in the world on 16th of January this year. Vaccination of frontline workers began from 2nd February, whereas the most recent phase began from 1st of this month, encompassing vaccination of everyone aged above 60 years and above 45 years with specified comorbidities. The Health Ministry has informed that in just 13 days of the current phase, over 7.8 million senior citizens and nearly 1.3 million people above 45 years with comorbidities have been administered the first shot of the COVID-19 vaccine. The Health Ministry has informed that the COVID-19 recovery rate in the country today stands at 96.75%. It said in the last 24 hours, 16,637 people were discharged after recovery. Till now, over 1,989,000 people have recovered from the COVID-19 infection. In the last 24 hours, 25,320 new cases were reported. The number of active cases in the country stands at nearly 210,000, comprising around 1.85% of the total reported cases. The Health Ministry has informed that 158 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours, taking the cumulative toll to 1,58,604.
Meanwhile, as the pharmacy of the world, India has supplied over 5,86 lakh doses of indigenous COVID-19 vaccines to nearly 71 countries till date. Out of the total supply, over 81 lakh doses have been given free of cost as grant aid to 37 countries, whereas 1,65 lakh doses have been sent under the COVAX facility route to around 31 countries. Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, Bhutan, Maldives, Mauritius, Sri Lanka, Seychelles, Bahrain, Oman and Afghanistan, including others, were the first countries to receive the Made in India vaccines through the grant aid route under the Vaccine Maitri initiative. COVAX is a unique global collaboration with more than 2/3 of the countries in the world engaged together in order to ensure equitable supply of COVID vaccines. The Ministry of External Affairs has informed that over 3,39 lakh vaccine doses have also been sent to 24 different countries on a commercial basis. It added that many countries have been supplied the Made in India vaccines through multiple modes, which include both as grant aid and through the COVAX facility. India, under its Vaccine Maitri, is supplying COVID vaccines to different nations around the world. Following requests from various countries for the supply of Indian-manufactured vaccines, the government had started the supply of COVID vaccines on the 20th of January to Bhutan, Maldives, Bangladesh, Nepal, Myanmar and Seychelles under the grant assistance. The External Affairs Ministry has said that this is being done in line with India's stated commitment to using India's vaccine production and delivery capacity to help humanity fight the COVID pandemic. Cricketing greats from the West Indies thanked India after receiving their first shipments of the Made in India COVID-19 vaccines in the Caribbean. In a video message, cricketing legends such as Sir Vivian Richards and Sir Richie Richardson, amongst others, have thanked India for the Made in India COVID vaccines.
The opportunity for me to thank for exactly the wonderful contribution that India would have made to our country, which is the vaccine. Thank you so much on behalf of the Antiguan and Barbudan people. We look forward also that in the future continued relationship. Thank you very much, Prime Minister Modi, and to thank the High Commissioner to our region. We also thank all the people of India for such a kind gesture.
On behalf of the government and the people of Antigua and Barbuda, I would like to thank the Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, for his kind generosity in offering us 40,000 Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. We are extremely grateful to you.
Now let's take a look at the COVID updates from around the world.
Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, welcomed the Quad leaders' commitment to boost global supplies of the COVID-19 vaccines. In a tweet on Sunday, Dr. Ghebreyesus said that the Quad Summit's commitment to boost supplies of safe COVID-19 vaccines across the globe via the COVAX facility to ensure they reach populations in need of the vaccination is the best route to vaccine equity and a swift, equitable end to the pandemic. Prime Minister of France, Mr. Jean Castex, has said that the COVID-19 situation in Paris area is extremely tense. According to reports, Mr. Castex called on people, especially those living in the capital, to wear masks and respect social distancing. Meanwhile, the European Union has defended its vaccine allocation system. In a joint statement, the EU has said that most equitable solution for the allocation of doses of vaccines is on the basis of a pro rata of population of each member state. It is said that it is the solution that the Commission proposed for all advanced purchase agreements. It added that the process is a fair solution as the virus strikes equally everywhere in all parts of the EU. The EU has recently been criticized after Austria and 5 other member states complained that doses were not allocated equally. Vaccine makers AstraZeneca have reduced their planned deliveries in Europe due to production problems. In the latest setback, AstraZeneca has announced that it will be delivering only 100 million of the expected 220 million doses to EU states by the middle of 2021. Meanwhile, Ireland's Vaccine Task Force has recommended temporarily suspending the rollout of AstraZeneca's COVID vaccine. The decision comes after several EU countries also stopped administering the shots last week over blood clot concerns. However, the WHO has stated that there is no confirmed evidence that the AstraZeneca vaccine causes blood clots and has advised nations to continue using the vaccine. Singapore on Sunday said that it hopes to start reopening its borders to tourists at the end of 2021. It could also allow travel with Australia even sooner under a travel bubble that could start in July. In a televised interview, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong said that Singapore was also discussing the use of vaccine certificates with other countries, according to reports. Niharika Bhuvania for World News, All India Radio.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
Welcome back. You're listening to the World News. India's High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Gopal Bagle, formally handed over training aids worth 22 million Sri Lankan rupees to the Commander Eastern Naval Area of the Sri Lankan Navy. The handing over was done in a ceremony held on Sunday at the prestigious Naval and Maritime Academy, Trincomalee. The development is pursuant to the earlier commitments of the Indian Navy in assisting regional navies in capacity building. During his visit in December 2019, Chief of the Naval Staff Admiral Karambir Singh had committed to providing a number of training items to the Sri Lankan Navy. The High Commissioner reiterated the importance of close cooperation between the two navies as an essential part of the overall bilateral engagement. He also handed over Kindle e-book readers and books to the library of the Naval and Maritime Academy. A statement from the Indian High Commission in Colombo said that the Indian Navy and the Sri Lankan Navy have always maintained a functional relationship, and a number of training facilities of the Indian Navy are availed by the Sri Lankan Navy. The High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Mr. Gopal Bagle, also visited the northern and eastern provinces of Sri Lanka. He had started his visit on Thursday by reviewing the restoration project of the Tirukirishwaram temple that was carried out by the Government of India. The High Commissioner also visited the Ram Setu or Adams Bridge, a connecting bridge between India and Sri Lanka, on the same day. He laid the foundation stone for the construction of 144 transit housing units for pilgrims at the shrine of Our Lady of Madhu in Mannar. These housing units will be built with grant assistance from India at a cost of around 300 million Sri Lankan rupees. The High Commissioner met senior functionaries from the northern province. They had comprehensive discussions on deeper engagement in the fields of education, skill development, health, agriculture, water and fishing.
Indian Navy ship Jalashva on Sunday arrived at port of Anjuan in Comoros with 1,000 metric tons of rice. It will be received by Foreign Minister of Comoros, Zohir Dhulkamal, in a ceremony tomorrow. Ambassador of India to Comoros, Abhay K, said the arrival of Indian Navy ship Jalashva with 1,000 metric tons of rice highlights the continuity in the exemplary ties between India and Comoros within the framework of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Sagar, security and growth for all in the Indian Ocean region.
Last year, Honorable External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, had a telephonic conversation with Honorable Foreign Minister of Comoros, and a consignment of COVID-related medicines and a 14-member medical team were dispatched to Comoros. Now, we have INS Jalashva visiting Comoros with this consignment of 1,000 tons of rice in expression of solidarity with the people and the government of Comoros. This shows the exemplary partnership between the two countries, two Indian Ocean neighbors.
The Sri Lankan government has announced its intent to ban the wearing of the burqa and shut more than 1,000 Islamic schools or madrasas soon. Minister for Public Security, Sarath Veerasekhara, said on Saturday that he had signed a paper on Friday for cabinet approval to ban the full face covering worn by some Muslim women on national security grounds. He said the government also plans to ban more than 1,000 madrasas that were flouting national education policy. The wearing of the burqa in the majority Buddhist nation was temporarily banned in 2019 after the bombing of churches and hotels by Islamic militants that killed more than 250 people.
In a significant ruling in the U.S., a California district judge has directed Google to face a class action lawsuit seeking $5 billion. The suit claims that the tech giant is tracking and collecting data even when people use the incognito or private browsing mode on its Chrome browser. According to reports, District Judge Lucy Koh in the state of California ruled that Google did not notify users that Google engages in the alleged data collection while the user is in private browsing mode. Google has, however, issued a clarification stating that the incognito mode is not the same as being invisible. Google reportedly in a statement said that users' activity during that session may be visible to websites they visit and any third-party analytics or ad services the visited websites use. The United States has said that it wants to make the U.S. government a leader, not a laggard, in cybersecurity. White House spokesperson Jan Psaki was responding to media queries on the recent Microsoft hack and SolarWinds cyber attacks. Ms. Psaki said that they need to be able to defend against the adversaries who pursue the nation's diplomatic, law enforcement and health efforts. She added that the National Security Advisor had tweeted early to alert Americans and convey the seriousness of the Microsoft exchange. On the Microsoft hack, Ms. Psaki said that the U.S. government is in talks with Microsoft and the company has released a series of patches to counter cyber threat. According to reports, Russia and China have been implicated in the cyber attacks, with U.S. President Joe Biden lodging a protest with the Russian President Vladimir Putin earlier this year. Mr. Biden alleged that Russian hackers hijacked American-made SolarWinds software to gain access to organizations including the U.S. Commerce and Treasury departments.
Germany on Sunday kicked off elections for the state legislatures. We have a report.
2 states in Germany are voting in elections on Sunday. Polling is happening in stations in Rhineland-Palatinate and Baden-Württemberg amidst rising coronavirus infections in the country. According to reports, the elections are a precursor to the general elections in September, which will mark the end of Angela Merkel's chancellorship. It will also be the first real show of voter opinion about crisis management in the coronavirus pandemic. Germany has witnessed a slew of protests in numerous cities, with demonstrations against the coronavirus restrictions. Campaigning is taking place digitally. Germany is a federal republic with 16 states. The German parliament is a bicameral legislature consisting of the elected Bundestag and the appointed Bundesrat. Niharika Bhuvania for World News, All India Radio.
Afghanistan will take part in separate USA and Russia-backed peace conferences in the coming weeks. According to reports, Afghan officials have confirmed this on Saturday. Russia's summit will take place on the 18th of March, while the US-sponsored one will take place in Turkey in April. The conferences come as the United States nears the deadline of the NATO forces' withdrawal from Afghanistan. Peace negotiations in Qatar's capital, Doha, have failed to reach an agreement. Hamdullah Mohib, the country's National Security Council advisor, according to reports, said that the Afghan government will take part in both the Moscow and the Turkey conferences. Muhammad Naeem, a spokesman for the Taliban, said the group received an invitation from Russia, but no decision has been taken whether to attend or not, according to reports.
In Myanmar, at least 12 people were killed in firing by the security forces as the protests against the military government continued for the 42nd day on Saturday. According to media reports, 5 people were killed and several others injured when police opened fire on a sit-in protest in Mandalay. A political prisoners advocacy group has said that more than 70 people have been killed during widespread protests against the military seizure in Myanmar on 1st of February, according to reports. Meanwhile, the acting leader of the country's ousted civilian government, Man Win Kaing Tha, addressed the public for the first time on Saturday and vowed to pursue a revolution to overturn the junta. At least 5 were killed when two Chinese factories were set on fire in Myanmar. Security forces fired at the demonstrators in Yangon on Sunday, killing at least 3 people, even while the protests against the military government in Myanmar continued for the 6th week. There are reports of protesters being killed in Bago near Yangon, Pakhant in northeast, and Moniwa township in central Myanmar. At least 12 people were killed in police firing against protesters on Saturday in Myanmar. Reports of police crackdown from several cities and townships of Myanmar indicate that the death count may go up. More than 80 people have been killed since the protests erupted against the military government, which removed the civilian government headed by Aung San Suu Kyi on the 1st of February.
The United States announced on Friday that it is resuming aid to northern Yemen in an effort to fend off a potential famine in the war-torn country. Washington said that it will cautiously resume support to humanitarian groups working in the north of Yemen and monitor to make sure the Houthis aren't interfering with the aid deliveries. Meanwhile, the United Nations has called on global attention towards the crisis in Yemen. Speaking to press, Stefan Dujarric, spokesperson for the Secretary General, called for an immediate cessation of hostilities and a nationwide ceasefire.
Our colleagues at the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reports that the humanitarian situation is worsening in Yemen's Marib Governorate, with fighting continuing along multiple front lines. The violence has forced up to 15,000 people to flee since early February. Roughly 60% of them are reportedly residing in informal settlements and crowded sites where services are overstretched. Humanitarian organizations are providing assistance, including support to both newly displaced and existing vulnerable internally displaced people in camp-like settings. Across Yemen, more than 20 million people, 20.7 to be more exact, need humanitarian assistance. Many of them are at the brink of starvation.
The Biden administration also expressed concern with the Houthi rebels in the war-torn country who are blocking fuel deliveries to a main port. The 6-year conflict in Yemen has killed some 130,000 people and millions are starving at starvation. Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen, has said that the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 26th of March is solely to celebrate the birth centenary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and the Golden Jubilee of the liberation of Bangladesh. Foreign Minister Momen said that it was a special event in which his presence is a recognition of Bangladesh's achievement. He said that during his visit, nothing related to unresolved issues between the two countries is likely to be discussed. Expressing happiness over the planned visit, Dr. Momen said that it shows the height of diplomatic maturity between the two countries. He said it will be the first visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi after the corona pandemic.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news.
The UN Security Council urged Somalia's government on Friday to organize elections without delay. The UN Security Council adopted a resolution that stressed the pressing threat to the country's security from Al-Shabaab and armed opposition groups. The resolution, which was adopted unanimously, authorized the African Union to maintain its nearly 20,000 strong force in Somalia until the end of the year, with a mandate to reduce the threat from the extremist groups to enable a stable, federal, sovereign and united Somalia.
In the northeast Indian state of Mizoram, Chapcharkut is one of the most important festivals of the people. The festival, which is held in the first week of March annually, is regarded by the people as the spring festival. So naturally, the festival Chapcharkut means a lot of joy, merriment, exchange of greetings and relishing food. Our Airzone correspondent Irene has the details.
Annual celebration of Chapcharkut wears an extravaganza with the holding of many sub-events like Chapcharkut Run, art and photo exhibition, flower show, food court and exhibition of artifacts. As part of the festivity, cultural groups hold folk concerts, perform Mizo songs and dances like bamboo dance, tero. During the festival, many people from foreign countries, neighboring states also visit Mizoram to pulsate with the fervor. This time, though the COVID-19 pandemic has battered open-air events and extravaganza to happen, the Art and Culture Department organized the festival on virtual mode, and it was transmitted live through cable TV channels and Doordarshan so that people from all across the state can enjoy the festivity. However, the festival was held in many rural areas with the traditional spirit with limited gatherings. Village heads were regarded as Kutpa or father of the festival. Nowadays, this is organized by the State Department of Art and Culture, and the Chief Minister is regarded as the Kutpa. This year, Chief Minister Zoramthanga, who graced the virtual program as father of the festival, said that Chapcharkut gives an opportunity to promote Mizo traditions and strengthen brotherhood. This is Irene from Aizawl.
The 14th of March is the birth anniversary of a renowned actor, director, filmmaker Amir Khan. Born in 1965, Amir Khan established himself as one of the most popular and influential actors with his portrayal of diverse roles. He was honored by the Government of India with the Padma Shri in 2003 and the Padma Bhushan in 2010. Prasar Bharati's special correspondent from Beijing reports that the actor's birthday was celebrated in an event held at the premises of the Indian Embassy in Beijing. Fans of the star gathered to cherish his work and his visits to China. The Amir Khan Fans Club came into being in 2015 and has been celebrating his birthday ever since. The fans said that a lot of Chinese people are fond of Indian culture and are eager to know about it.
I mean, he's talking about the socially relevant cinema. Okay. But India's context is slightly different. The popularity of these movies about education, family, struggle of women, girls, etc. These are issues.
They said they get connected with Amir Khan's movies due to the family values involved and the social messaging which relate to common social issues in China as well, especially related to the education system, women-related issues in the society, etc.
There are real issues, yes, that are expressed pretty well in Amir Khan's movie. Yes, it is why the Chinese people feel a sense of closeness. Okay, all right. Okay.
Let's listen to this medley from some of the memorable films of Amir Khan.
Moving on to sports now. In cricket, India beat England by 7 wickets in the second T20 international match to level the 5-match series 1-1 at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad tonight. Put into bat first, England scored 164 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs with the help of Jason Roy, 46 runs off 35 balls. For India, Washington Sundar and Shardul Thakur took 2 wickets each. In reply, India chased down the target for the loss of 3 wickets in 17.5 overs. India made 166 runs. Skipper Virat Kohli made 73 runs not out, while Ishan Kishan made 56 off 32 balls. For England, Sam Curran, Chris Jordan and Adil Rashid took a wicket each. Earlier, India won the toss and elected to field. In boxing, former undisputed middleweight world champion Marvelous Marvin Hagler died at the age of 66. The American dominated the middleweight division from 1979 until his controversial defeat by Sugar Ray Leonard in April 1987. Hagler fought 67 times during his 14-year professional career, winning 62.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Washington Post carried an article authored jointly by the 4 leaders of Quad, India, the US, Japan and Australia. The article said that the meeting of leaders signals the Quad grouping will become central part of the US strategy in Asia. The Sunday Morning Herald writes that media goes on trial in China as Beijing escalates attacks on journalists. And the South China Morning Post writes that $1.9 trillion US virus relief plan is a welcome news for the world economy.
And a quick look at the headlines once again. India inches closer to another milestone of 300 million COVID-19 inoculations in record time. WHO welcomes Quad leaders' commitment to boost global supplies of COVID-19 vaccines. Google to face class action lawsuit in the US on allegations of tracking users of Chrome browser. India hands over training aids worth 22 million Sri Lankan rupees to assist Sri Lankan Navy in capacity building. Former undisputed boxing world champion Marvelous Marvin Hagler dies at the age of 66. And in women's cricket, South Africa beat India by 7 wickets in 4th ODI at Lucknow and clinches series 3-1. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let's listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Janto, by artists from Afghanistan.
Vaishnav Janto tene kahe je preed parai jane re par dukhe.
And with that, we end this bulletin. See you at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.